These are 10 luxury watches that genuinely compete with, and in several measurable ways outperform, the most famous name in horology. And unlike that famous name, you can actually walk into a store and buy every single one of them today. In 2026, Rolex crossed a psychological threshold. The no-date Submariner, a watch that defined what a dive watch should be for over 70 years, officially became a five-figure timepiece at $10,050. The Submariner date now sits at $11,350. The GMT Master 2 Batman jumped another $700 to $11,800. And the day date 40 climbed nearly 10% to roughly $48,000. This was not a one-time adjustment, it was the third price increase in 12 months. Rolex raised prices 5% in January 2025, 4% again in May after the Trump administration levied a 10% tariff on Swiss goods and then raised them again on January 1st of this year, averaging 7% across every product line. Gold models absorbed the worst of it, jumping around 9%. Steel watches, the ones most people actually want, climbed 5.6%. Here is where it gets genuinely strange. Those tariffs initially surged to 39% in August of last year, and Rolex did not pass that cost along. Instead, they reportedly negotiated directly with the Trump administration. Swiss lawmakers are now investigating whether a gold clock Rolex gifted to the president at the US Open constitutes a bribe. You truly cannot make this up. The world's most buttoned-up watch company is now entangled in a geopolitical soap opera. Meanwhile, the watches most collectors actually dream about, the Daytona, the Pepsi GMT, remain functionally impossible to buy at retail. You need years of purchase history, a personal relationship with your authorized dealer, and a measure of luck that borders on the supernatural. The waitlist for a Daytona stretches to 5 years if you can even get your name on it. And while Rolex operates in that rarefied space, the rest of the Swiss watch hierarchy, from Patek Philippe at the very summit to Audemars Piguet with the Royal Oak, has only reinforced the idea that the best watches are the ones you can never simply walk in and buy. So the question is not whether Rolex makes great watches, they do. The real question is whether the experience of trying to buy one, the price escalation, the gamesmanship, the artificial scarcity, is still worth it when brilliant Rolex alternatives exist at every price point. That is exactly what this list is. 10 watches that compete with Rolex directly, whether you are searching for a dive watch, a GMT, or a luxury timepiece that simply does things Rolex will not. We will start where it makes the most sense, within the family. Watch number 1, the Tudor Black Bay 58. Hans Wilsdorf, the man who founded Rolex, created Tudor with a specific mandate: deliver Rolex reliability at more attainable prices. For decades, Tudor lived in its older sibling's shadow. That era is over. The 2026 Black Bay 58 might be the single best value proposition in luxury watchmaking right now. This year's version wears a classic black dial with gilt accents, and it's genuinely beautiful. But the real story is what happened inside and underneath. The manufacturer caliber MT5400 now carries both COSC and METIS Master Chronometer certification, validated by the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology through a rigorous master chronometer testing protocol, the same standard that certifies Omega's top-tier movements. It guarantees accuracy between 0 and +5 seconds per day, validated water resistance and magnetic resistance up to 15,000 Gauss. The power reserve runs a generous 65 hours. The movement itself uses a silicon-balanced spring, a technical detail that contributes directly to that magnetic resistance figure and reduces sensitivity to temperature changes. The case measures 39 mm by 11.7 mm, a size that works on virtually any wrist. Pricing starts at $4,975 on rubber, $5,225 on the Oyster bracelet, and $5,350 on the Jubilee. That's roughly 56% less than a Submariner date. You're getting master chronometer certification and an in-house movement from Kinesi, Tudor's own manufacturing arm, with a design that has only grown more refined since its debut in 2018. It's available right now at your nearest authorized dealer, with no games and no waitlist. Watch number 2, the Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT. If the standard Black Bay 58 challenges the Submariner, this one goes directly after the GMT Master 2. And it does so at a price that almost feels irresponsible. $5,650 versus $11,800 for the Batman. Most GMT watches run 40mm or larger. The Rolex GMT Master 2 is 40mm. Tudor's own full-size Black Bay GMT is 41mm. This one stays at 39mm, making it one of the most wearable travel watches on the market. The Caliber MT5450U is not a modular GMT with a second time zone function bolted onto an existing base movement. It is purpose-built with an integrated GMT complication, and it carries the same COSC and METAS double certification, validated through the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology testing protocol. For 2026, Tudor added their 5-link Jubilee-style bracelet with the T-Fit rapid adjustment system. This watch does everything the GMT Master 2 does, at less than half the price with no waitlist. Watch number 3, the Omega Seamaster Diver 300M. Omega has been James Bond's watch since 1995, but set the Hollywood glamour aside for a moment, because what actually matters here is the engineering. Every single timepiece in the current Seamaster Diver 300M collection is master chronometer certified, meaning precision, chronometric performance, and magnetic resistance at the highest standard in the Swiss watch industry. 15,000 Gauss of magnetic resistance, 300 meters of water resistance. The coaxial escapement, which Omega pioneered, reduces friction in the movement through a 3-point locking geometry that minimizes sliding contact between components. A fundamentally different approach to energy transfer than a traditional lever escapement. That translates to extended service intervals and improved long-term accuracy. And like Tudor's movements, current Seamaster movements incorporate a silicon-balanced spring for enhanced magnetic resistance. Here's the part that should genuinely give every Rolex buyer pause. The most popular Seamaster 300M retails for $6,700, and on the secondary market, where platforms like Chrono24 and Watch Charts track real transaction prices, it trades for roughly $4,358, which is 25.5% below retail. You're getting a watch with arguably superior technology to the Submariner, immediate availability, and a secondary market price that opens it up to a much wider audience. Omega doesn't play the scarcity game, they want you to wear their watches. Watch number 4, the Cartier Santos. This is where we shift gears entirely because not every Rolex alternative needs to be a dive watch. The Santos holds a claim that no Rolex model can touch. It's one of the world's first purpose-built wristwatches. In 1904, Louis Cartier created it for his friend Alberto Santos Dumont, a Brazilian aviator who needed to check the time while flying without letting go of the controls. The Submariner didn't arrive until 1953, nearly 50 years later. The modern Santos runs on Cartier's in-house 1847 MC automatic movement with a 42-hour power reserve, and it features the quick switch system for swapping between bracelet and strap without tools. Water resistance is 100 meters, less than the Submariner, yes, but realistically, how often are you diving to 300 meters? At an average price of around $7,000, with steel models holding 65 to 75% of their retail value over 3 to 5 years, the Santos matches entry-level Rolex steel sport models in value retention, and the design is unmistakably, unapologetically its own. If you want a luxury sports watch with genuine horological heritage and a design that doesn't borrow from anyone, the Santos is a more compelling answer than people give it credit for, even against icons like the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak in terms of historical legitimacy. Watch number 5, the Grand Seiko SLGH021, known as the Genbi Valley. Picking just one Grand Seiko is almost painful. The Japanese manufacturer, whose watches are built at Studio Shizukuishi in Iwate Prefecture, offers what many enthusiasts consider the finest finishing and watchmaking at any price point. Their dials are legendary, from the snowflake texture to the Mount Iwate patterns to the way light interacts with their Zaratsu polishing technique. Zaratsu is a hand-applied process that produces a distortion-free mirror finish on curved case surfaces, the kind of finishing that makes Swiss executives quietly uncomfortable. The SLGH021 runs on the Caliber 9SA5, Grand Seiko's dual-impulse escapement movement, a high-beat automatic with an 80-hour power reserve. The dual impulse escapement was developed in-house as an alternative to the coaxial and Swiss lever designs, using both impulse faces of the escape wheel to reduce energy loss. 80 hours of power reserve. That's 15 more than the Tudor and substantially more than most Rolex movements. The case is 40 mm by 11.7 mm, and the Evolution 9 design language delivers excellent legibility through its pronounced hands and indices. If you want to understand what Grand Seiko is capable of beyond the 9SA5, their spring drive technology, which blends mechanical winding with electronic regulation via a glide spring, is another distinct avenue worth exploring entirely. Retail on the SLG H021 is $10,400, just 8% less than the Submariner date, but what you receive for that money in terms of movement decoration, dial artistry, and vertical integration belongs in a different league entirely. Grand Seiko does everything in-house, from hairsprings to cases to dials, with an obsessive attention to detail that defines Japanese manufacturing philosophy. Watch number 6, the Glasshut Original CQ. German watchmaking does not get the attention it deserves, and the CQ is Exhibit A for why that's a mistake. Inspired by the spasmatic type RP-TS200 from 1969, which Glasshut Original claims was the first dive watch ever created in the German watchmaking town of Glasshute, the CQ belongs in any serious conversation about the world's best dive watches. Alongside the Submariner, the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, and the Omega Seamaster Professional, it's legitimately one of 4 or 5 watches vying for the top of class. The Blancpain 50 Fathoms, for context, is widely credited as the first modern dive watch, predating the Submariner by months in 1953, and the Glasshut CQ earns its place in that same conversation. The case measures 39.5 mm with a slender 12.5 mm thickness, though it wears more like a 10 mm watch thanks to an aggressively domed sapphire crystal and a thin mid-case design. The ceramic bezel ranks among the best being produced in this price range or above. One respected reviewer put it plainly: the objective superiority of the CQ versus a heavily mass-produced item like the Rolex Submariner is beyond question. Pricing starts around $9,400, roughly 10% less than the Submariner date, but with a level of hand finishing that Rolex simply does not offer at this tier. Watch number 7, the Manta Ocean King. This is where the conversation gets genuinely interesting. Manta is a St. Louis-based independent brand delivering Swiss manufacturing excellence at a price point that defies conventional luxury watch economics. The Ocean King's 40.5 mm case houses the Manta Caliber M22, a modified Sellita SW300 with 56 hours of power reserve. Water resistance reaches 300 meters, meeting ISO 6425 dive watch standards, the same international benchmark that governs the Submariner and Seamaster. The unidirectional bezel uses a patent-pending assembly with 120 clicks, $2,550. That's 78% less than the Submariner date, and during pre-order periods, the price dropped to $2,225. You are getting ceramic bezel technology, Swiss movement engineering, and a finishing quality that experienced reviewers compare favorably against watches costing double. This is not a watch that merely approximates the Rolex experience. In many tangible ways, it matches it. Watch number 8, the Tissot Seastar 1000 Powermatic 80. The affordable watch market has gotten remarkably good. 10 years ago, you couldn't get this level of quality below $1,000. The Seastar 1000 packs a 40 mm stainless steel case powered by the Powermatic 80 caliber with its namesake 80-hour power reserve. That's more power reserve than any Rolex in the current catalog, and it costs below $1,000. That's 91% less than the Submariner. Swiss-made, from a brand that has been producing watches since 1853. The Seastar 1000 also meets ISO 6425 certification, meaning it is a genuine dive watch by the same international standard, not merely water-resistant. And here's the thing nobody talks about enough. At this price, you're not agonizing over scratches on your daily wearer. You're not stressing about insurance riders. You're just wearing a genuinely good dive watch and enjoying it. Watch number 9, the Laurier Falcon Series 3. This New York micro brand has built a cult following among collectors who appreciate vintage-inspired design executed with genuine passion. The Falcon targets the Rolex Explorer, nailing the iconic 369 dial layout in a 36 mm marine-grade stainless steel case that matches the Explorer's traditional proportions, while feeling thoroughly modern on the wrist. Founder John Mack has refined this watch through 4 generations since 2019, and the obsession shows. At around $500, it represents 96% less than the current Explorer, and it punches so far above its price that it has become a gateway watch for the entire microbrand movement. Watch number 10, the Timex Expedition Pioneer Titanium GMT. If there's a single watch under $1,000 that makes Rolex collectors do a genuine double take, this is it. A 41mm titanium tool watch with an automatic GMT movement, a 24-hour bezel, and a dial layout that genuinely evokes the Explorer 2. The black bezel with the yellow GMT hand. The proportions. It's been called a love letter to the Explorer 2 written in a friendlier hand, and it retails for $500. A Rolex Explorer 2 sits deep into 5-figure territory at retail, assuming you can even source one from an authorized dealer, which most buyers never will. For those wanting to step up within the Timex ecosystem, the Atelier GM24 M1A uses a Swiss-made Landeron 24 GMT automatic movement with refined finishing at $1,450. It's the closest Timex has come to GMT Master 2 territory at a brand level. So what does all of this tell us? Rolex generated over 10.6 billion Swiss francs in sales in 2024, a 5% increase over the prior year. Their Datejust collection has seen a 639% increase in average resale value over the last 15 years, a figure you can verify on watch charts or Chrono24 historical data. The brand is not struggling, the machine is running and running well, but that same machine has built a system that increasingly excludes the enthusiast who built its reputation in the first place. 3 price increases in 12 months, waitlists measured in years, a culture of purchase history that requires you to buy watches you do not want just to earn the privilege of buying the one you do. The 10 watches on this list represent something different. They represent the idea that exceptional watchmaking should not require a VIP relationship, a 5-year commitment, or a willingness to play games with your money. From the $500 Laurier Falcon to the $10,000 Grand Seiko Genbi Valley, each of these luxury timepieces offers something that Rolex, for all its brilliance, currently struggles to provide: the simple, uncomplicated joy of walking into a store, falling in love with a watch, and taking it home on your wrist that same day. The best Rolex alternatives here do not merely imitate Rolex. They bring their own compelling value while honoring what makes great watchmaking special, whether that is Tudor's Meta's certification at half the price, Omega's superior magnetic resistance and coaxial escapement engineering, Grand Seiko's transcendent dial work and dual impulse escapement, or Timex's audacious democratization of GMT complications. The market in 2026 is richer, deeper, and more exciting than it has ever been. The crown is still the crown, but the kingdom has gotten a lot more interesting.